Hi, I'm Jakavri. I'm one of the librarians here at Watertown Pre-Public Library, and I'm going to show you how to make a light-up greeting card. So this is a simple craft with an LED and some copper tape. So the first things that you're going to need is the materials for your card. You're going to need some cardstock, some paper, copper tape, an LED, and a battery. So for the battery, we're using 3-volt coin batteries. And with the way this works, the type of battery doesn't matter. It's just we're using this one because it's flat and it's not going to cause a lot of bump in the card itself. So the first thing is that when you have your LED, there's a short leg and a long leg here. And this is going to be your positive and negative. So when you connect the legs to the battery, you'll see it lights up because the long leg is the positive and is going to the positive side of the battery. The short leg is the negative and is going to the negative side of the battery. So if we turned this over, so the light doesn't light up, but when we put it back, it's completing the circuit and lighting up properly. So our goal is to use the copper tape to connect the positive side of the battery with the positive side of the LED and the negative side of the battery with the negative side of the LED. So I'm actually going to use a card template. See, I've actually printed this out. This is from Xerox. And what I'm going to do is choose where I want my LED. So I'm going to put it right here in that heart. So I'm just going to stick this through the paper. So it's got a hole for me there. And then what I want to do is actually take this piece of paper, take my cardstock, and make a mark. Because I want to know where I need to score my cardstock so that the LED will actually go through it. So I'm just making a little mark there. And then I can take my scissors and just gently slice into the cardstock. So that I can push my LED through. And we want to make sure that we remember which side of the LED we're putting where, because we need to properly connect that circuit. So I've got my hole there, and then I'm going to line up the front part of my card, put the LED back through the whole thing. And now when I flip it over, you can see the wires poking through. So we're just going to spread out the wires here. And I know that this side is negative, this side is positive. So to help me remember, I'm actually just going to make a little mark on the inside of my card. And now I need to decide where I'm going to put my battery. So I know about here's about halfway through the card. I'm just gonna fold my cardstock really quick so that I can see what part's the front, what's part of the back. All right, so I've got my fold in my card. So I'm going to decide to put my battery about right here. The closer I have it to the fold, the more I can secure it. And I'm just going to lightly trace around the battery so I know where I'm aiming to have it. And I'm just going to do a quick diagram of how to actually do my circuit. That way I can follow it when I'm doing my copper tape. So if I'm going from negative, going to the negative here, and then from positive, I'm gonna go down back to the battery here. So the length of your circuit doesn't matter. You can do different shapes. The main thing is you want to make sure that you're completing the circuit. So I'm going to start with my copper tape. And the copper tape is delicate, especially since we're only using 1/4 of an inch wide. So we want to get it off the backing here so we can lay it down on the cardstock. So for the battery receptacle, we're not going to worry about trying to fill this whole circle. We're just going to make a spot for the battery to connect and then start following this line. Now we've reached a corner. So to really do this easily, you want to fold away from the direction you want to go and then fold back towards it. So I'm using copper tape with adhesive on it that is conductive. So it doesn't matter if I've got it and need to patch it. All I have to do is put another piece on top of it. And see, now I've torn it. I've got it on top of my negative side here. And that's going to help hold the LED down. And then I'm going to turn it so I can start doing the positive side of my circuit. It's really important here to make sure that there's a break between your negative and positive sides. Because if you don't make that break, it's going to try to do the circuit all the way through the copper tape. And if you have your battery on there, you'll notice that your battery will start to heat up. That means the electricity is going through it, but it doesn't have anywhere to go. Back on the positive side here. And again, I'm going to fold in the opposite direction and then back towards here. And that's just to make it so that it's not tearing as I round those corners. All right, and then one more. So this will be the end of the circuit. So we don't want to just connect it here because here needs to go to the top of the battery. And if we don't want the light to be on all the time, we want to give a little bit of extra tape here, tear it off, and then we're just going to fold it over. It's a little hard to do this cleanly just because of how delicate the tape is and how sticky it wants to be. So I'm just going to squish that down, and that is actually going to function as our switch. So if I have the battery here, the negative side of the battery is the bottom, it's going to the negative side of the LED. The positive side of the LED is going to go to the top of the battery. And as you can see a little bit through the paper, it's actually lighting up. And then I'm going to flip it so you can see we have our circuit completed. So then the biggest thing here is to, one, make sure that you can easily connect your circuit. What I've found works really well is to actually take some of the residual backing of the copper tape and connect it there. So I'm actually going to patch it with a little bit of the copper tape. And I'm just going to cut some of this backing. We can trim it down later if we need to. And I'm going to tape this onto this bit of copper tape that I've left as my switch. So that way I can just pull it back and forth to connect that circuit. So now that we've got a working circuit, we need to make sure that we can secure the battery down. So I'm just grabbing a glue stick, and I'm going to be careful here to make sure I'm not getting glue on the copper tape itself. So I'm going to put the glue on the sides here of this circle so we know exactly how much we need. But we're not covering that copper tape because that battery still needs to make a proper connection there. And then you just want to hold down the battery for a minute or two until it actually stays. And then again, just check that circuit to make sure it's working. So then the next thing we want to do is actually attach the inside of our card. And this is just as simple as gluing it down. So you see we're hiding this circuit by putting another piece on top of it. Smooth that down. And now we've got our switch poking out here. And if we just fold it over back onto the battery, we have a light up greeting card. So we hope everyone has a happy Valentine's Day. And this is a craft that can actually be repeated for any occasion. It's just a matter of creating a card for it. Thank you very much.